Hello guys, another video. I'm back in my tent today filming. I seem to spend most of my time in here, so I thought I'd carry on filming in here. Today is actually going to be a slightly different video. It's a birthday book haul, so it's my birthday on Friday and I'm filming this Monday, and I just turned 30, which is like, I shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like a big deal at all, but I think it is. I think it's more so just like the end of an era, literally, but also, yeah, feeling like I'm 30 now. I should be, I don't know, maybe growing up a bit more, or maybe not living in a tent, but this is what I love doing, so I'm going to carry on doing what makes me happy. Yeah, so I had some really amazing books for my birthday from various different people that I thought I would just do a shout out today, and then I'll read them and I might come back and do some reviews. Just to say, I'm not bragging in any way. I just really wanted to share this and to talk about them. I'm actually wearing as well this really beautiful Votes for Women Tattoo Divine necklace my friend Sophie got me for my birthday, and I did have such a lovely day. Obviously it's quarantine and coronavirus and lockdown, so I was meant to be going to the seaside to the beautiful Burr Island, which I've wanted to go to for like a decade. It's this incredible Art Deco, white, majestic like ship at looks a bit like a ship on the coast in Devon, that's kind of built this glamorous place for movie stars to escape to. It's cut off from the mainland most of the time. Just get a sea tractor across. It's featured in Evil Under the Sun, various other Agatha Christie's, and it's just incredible. But anyway, I can go there next year. But this year I had a really lovely time. Some friends come round kind of over different days. Some of the neighbours came round, had a really lovely time with my family. I went on, so just outside the tent, we were on the river here, really luckily, and I have this kind of blow up flamingo. I love flamingos, and I went for a lovely jaunt on it. I've never actually gone that far because it's just some trees has fallen into the river just a bit further along, and I didn't think I'd be able to get underneath them, but and I was also worried about how deep it got, blah blah blah. So this is meant to be a book haul. I will get to that in a few seconds. But yeah, so I went kind of along the river, and I'd had quite a bit to drink, and I was like, nah, I can get under this. Did it. Had a really lovely kind of float down to got to my neighbours just before the weir. Thought it's best to stop there. So yeah, I had a really lovely day. I had some amazing presents. I got this beautiful original like suffragette ball and other things, and obviously this tent was my kind of main birthday present. So I realised how lucky and how very spoilt I've been this year for my 30th. So on to the books. I've got a selection, an array of really thoughtful books. So the first one I wanted to start to talk about is this, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, which I know from looking on Instagram and from following various kind of book lovers and book YouTubers, and really just kind of looking on any bookshop website, really, this has been considered a favourite, and I can completely understand why. I think it's a really beautiful book, and I think the author actually says, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I should have looked at beforehand. Charlie Mackesy, apologies. But he talks about that it's for 8 to 80-year-olds, and it really is about these friends who come together and who love and respect each other and have fun. And the drawings are just... my friend, when she gave it to me, my friend Harry and Libby, who this is from, a really thoughtful gift. She said, these are, they could be prints on your wall. They're just so beautiful. It's so lovely to read. It's a hug in a book. Yeah, just enjoying yourselves, having friendship, and despite any kind of hardships, or when you're feeling down or you don't feel worthy, yeah, it's just all about the power of friendship and love. And I just love this little mole in it who loves cake about as much as I do. So yeah, I don't usually recommend this book because I think lots of people will have read it or heard of it, but this is a book that I'm definitely going to... It's really quick to read. I read it on my birthday that night. I'm going to go back and reread it, and yeah, I just think it's an incredibly lovely book. So we'll start there. So my friend Harry and Libby also got me. It's so thoughtful because I'm really... I found that what's helped me when my anxiety kind of gets a bit overwhelming, or when I feel depressed and I get quite dark thoughts, that meditation and mindfulness I found has been really good for me. yeah, sorry, I just realised I don't know if this camera's like straight. I've just balanced, it's basically balanced on my book cradle that I've got in my tent on a pile of books. And I just to say as well at this point, I will do like, I think, a tour of my tent maybe at some point. But it's not finished. There's some more things to come, there's some bunting and things that haven't arrived. And also, I don't know, I'm kind of just enjoying it being just for me. But you can see some of the lovely flowers that I got for my birthday from both my cousins. Kate sent me some lovely flowers. Yeah, anyway, so Harry and Libby got me this lovely Start With Gratitude, and I thought about getting one of these for ages. So it's not, it's a notebook really, which tells you to put in things like I am thankful for, things I want to remember from today, things I'm grateful for, good thing I did for somebody today. I think it's a really lovely idea. I think it's, like it says, take 5 minutes to just sit down and really think about your day. And I suppose for me, it almost seems like it's another form of meditation, be able to sit and take stock, because I think so often, and I find myself doing this, just so quickly to kind of fill up your mind with things to do, or if I'm not being busy, if I'm not feeling like I'm contributing, then I'm being lazy or something. And I think being in this tent as well has slowed me down. I don't obviously have electricity in here. I do have my phone. I sometimes listen to audiobooks at night, but my phone's obviously going to die at some point, so I can't for too long. So I found that's good for meditation. So I'm definitely going to leave this notebook here in the tent with me. I do have a few pens somewhere when I make notes in my books. So I'll definitely be doing that. So I think those two, amazing. One of my neighbours, Karen, got me this, and it's really lovely because it's a completely different kind of book that I didn't get this birthday, but I do have quite a lot of, and it's a fashion book that I'd never actually heard of, surprisingly, considering how many I have of them. How Not to Wear Black. Now I don't wear black, I find colour so inspiring and so much fun. I mean, just how beautiful does she look? Amazing. I just love that colour combination. So yeah, this looks really good fun. I'm definitely going to be reading this. It's something that's like you can just kind of dip into a chapter here or there, and I thought it was really thoughtful. It's a big, like, chunky, lovely hardback as well, so completely unexpected, really wonderful. It's just so thoughtful, and I think it must be, like my mom said to me this before, it's really difficult to buy books for me, because I do, if you've watched my video of the garage, I do kind of have a lot of books. So but yeah, to take that time and effort, yeah, it's just really, really inspiring and really beautiful for me, I think. My sister's girlfriend, so we watched, my sister's girlfriend Grace has been staying with us. She's lovely. She's been staying with us for a while during lockdown, and she's been introducing me to lots of books that I'd never heard of, and films, and I've been doing the same. And we were sitting watching, she'd never seen Benny and June, which if you haven't watched, you need to watch it. It's an amazing film with Johnny Depp when he was younger, and we watched it during our psychology class at my A-levels actually, and it deals with mental illness. I've forgotten the name of the actress, which is awful, but she's incredible in it as June. It deals with mental illness in a way that doesn't... June, who has mental illness, she's neither kind of a scary villain, nor is she just a victim who's very passive, but she is a woman who, yes, has mental illness, but incredibly courageous. She has her own life, she enjoys, she's an artist, she falls in love, and she really wants, I think, more control of her own destiny. She has this amazing brother, Benny, who really looks out for her, but she also kind of needs her own space. Anyway, that's this is a long introduction to this book, but we were watching that, and then Grace mentioned to me, she goes, I think you'd really like this book, and it's called Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. So it's set in America. It's set during the Depression era, about, I'm really bad sometimes at pronouncing names. Iggy Threadgood and Ruth Jameson opened the Whistle Stop Cafe. The town took a turn for the better. So it just seems like it's a really feel-good novel set in America. Just really funny, set in America during the Depression. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. I've not read any Depression era American, I probably have one I'm forgetting, novels in a long time. But yeah, this looks really good. I wasn't expecting it, and I'm really looking forward to diving into that. And what I do love about all these books I got for my birthday is they are so different. And I think I want to keep them in my tent because I do already have quite a few books in here. And my sister was like, why do you have so many books? Have one and read it and start another one. And they're in a little bit of a mess in here, some of my books. But I said, well, no, because you don't know what kind of mood you're going to be in. Like, sometimes I feel like reading fiction, sometimes like non-fiction. Sometimes I want something that's more heavy going. Sometimes I just want something light and fun. Sometimes I want to read something, you know, like fashion or about architecture or music. So yeah, it's just kind of whatever mood you're in. So this is a really amazing selection. I'm very lucky. And I got some other really great presents as well, but this is just going to be books. This I asked my mum for. Oh, just the size of it as well. It's just beautiful. Art Deco by the Sea, an exhibition I was so looking forward to going to visit, and obviously that's not going to happen. I think it's been extended. I might be making that up, or that's wishful thinking, but I think it has been extended. The BBC did like a 30-minute, they were doing like a series of them. They did one of the Lee Miller exhibition. Is it a Lee Miller exhibition, or was that another documentary? I think that might have been another documentary I saw on the BBC. But anyway, they were doing a series about exhibitions that were on at the time that obviously people couldn't get to. Maybe it was the Bright Young Things exhibition they did a video about. Anyway, and this, so it's, as it says on the tin, it's all about Art Deco and the seaside, how they went hand in hand. So whether that's those incredible Lidos, whether that's restaurants, seaside, whether those incredible posters that you see that are quite ubiquitous now, the trains that actually got you to the seaside. And I love everything Art Deco. It's my favourite style. My bedroom is like really Art Deco. I'd love at some point to live in one of those beautiful, not that I think I'll ever be able to afford one, but to live, obviously not in this, it's huge, but to live in like a white, I'd love to live in like a white Art Deco house by the sea. But yeah, and just some of the photographs as well, and I'm really looking forward to, oh, there we are, there's one of those adverts. I'm really looking forward to diving into this book. It's probably sounds weird to say as well, but like the quality of the paper as well, and just the size of it, it's just a really lovely exhibition guide as well. And it's also like slightly floppy, which I like sometimes hardbacks, just like, especially ones for exhibitions that are usually quite large, hold them, they get a bit heavy, which probably makes me sound really lazy, but at night I like being able to something a bit looser. So yeah, I asked my mum for this for my birthday, so I knew it was coming, but yeah, thank you so much, Mum, that's wonderful. So another genre of books that I love reading, that I just seem to be reading very little else apart from this at the moment, well, at least for the past week or so, is nature books. Love them, can't get enough of them. When I find a good, not usually non-fiction, book about nature, about the restorative power of nature, about nature mindfulness, about, and it's often about somebody who's been going through some kind of issue, or they're feeling a disconnection, and I devour them. I just want to read them again and again. And so I asked my mom, this came up as a recommended book for me with a few others I've been reading. So I think it was Homesick, which is one of my favourite books of all time. This came up as a recommended. So Rootbound by Alice Vincent, Rewilding a Life. And this is slightly different to some of the other nature books I've read, although to be honest, I'm only like 30 pages in, so who knows how the rest of it will go. But it's kind of a memoir, and it's a bit about botanical history as well, a biography, and it's about, so it's Alice, who is living in London, who is talks about when she was younger, about the countryside, being really close to it, and then moving to a city and living with her boyfriend, and about how she's kind of blindsided by the breakdown of their relationship, and that she wants to she starts planting things in her house and growing things with mixed success, and just kind of learning and really growing with those growing plants. Well, I'm 30 pages in, but I shouldn't really be giving a synopsis, but that is what I've read so far. I really like her writing style. I think it's very brave. I think it's very honest, vulnerable. Oh, and just falling out of the book, my mom got me, how gorgeous is this? Her present buying just puts like me to shame. Like, she's so thoughtful. It's just a beautiful little leather heart which has my initials on it, HRS, but then it kind of rests over the top of a page, because I'm a devil for, like, I turn over pages. As you can see, I actually already have things I want to look at, and I make notes in my books. I don't with my vintage books or my Persephone ones really, but most of my books I do make notes in, because, well, if it's good enough for Vita Sackville-West, the writer, her and I think her husband Harold Nicholson did as well at Sissinghurst, because I think I've mentioned in nearly all of these videos that I work for the National Trust, and their incredible house team there showed me around kind of behind the scenes when I was working on a project there. And yeah, she made notes in her books, and I feel like if Vita Sackville-West, the incredible Vita Sackville-West, if you don't know her, you might know her kind of love of her life, Virginia Woolf. I don't know if she was the love of her life, but lover anyway, Virginia Woolf. You'll probably know her. And yeah, anyway, so she wrote in her books, and I think other authors do, so if she can, I think it's fine for me to, although I do get told off whenever I post a picture with like pages turned over on Instagram or Facebook. It's a moment, but I don't care. So yeah, Rootbound, really looking forward to carrying on reading this tonight. Another one, when I was on Waterstones actually, that came up as a kind of a recommended nature book this month, and I've heard a few people talking about it, is The Well-Gardened Mind, Rediscovering Nature in the Modern World. This sounds a bit like, oh my goodness, what's it called? Oh, I should have looked it up before. Lost in Eden? Lost Eden? Oh my goodness, I was literally just finished this book. How have I forgotten what it's called? Anyway, yes, that book I was reading, which was it's a really good book. Was partly talking about the statistics of what is happening to nature in the UK and further afield, and then part kind of memoir. And I'm guessing this one is a bit like that. And that book also talked about how important the natural world is for your mental and physical health, and it actually goes through the science of that, which I think this one might be on a similar vein. I just really like the title, The Well-Gardened Mind. It looks great, so I asked Mom for that, and I might do a review of this one as well when I've read it. So just 4 more books. So, oh, actually no, sorry, 5 more books. One technically wasn't a birthday present, but my mom, bless her, occasionally she'll buy things and then she forgets, like, there is apparently still one more birthday present that she can't remember where she put, and this, apparently she saw a review of it a few months ago and bought it for me, because she knows I love these Persephone books, and she read that it was meant to be like an incredible, although I've not read a bad Persephone book, but this one was meant to be particularly, she said it's really meant to be really sad but really beautiful, and she just remembered and gave it to me on my birthday, so that's a bonus gift. I first discovered Persephone when I was like, I think I must have been like 23, 24, and I was doing, like after work, I was travelling to Bristol, which is quite a way, and I was doing this mastering English literature course, because I didn't do English literature undergraduate, I did art history and a master's in art history, but I was really thinking about the time about going to, I'd actually even applied and got accepted to go to St Andrews to do women's studies, look at women's literature, and I thought, well, I haven't studied English literature since A-levels, and it was a really great kind of 10-week after work course that I did, and one of the writers who we read a short extract from, who I'd never heard of before, is a credible Jewish English writer, Amy Levy, and so I was staying with my sister that night and then travelling back the next morning in Bath, and Bath has like the most incredible independent bookshops if you've never been, and I was in Toppings, which is probably one of my top 3 bookshops in the world, and I was in there and I was like, I'm just going to see if they've got any Amy Levy. They probably won't, because she's I remember our lecturer telling us, you know, she's not very well known. You probably kind of find her on the internet and be able to buy a copy, but probably not in bookshops. And I went in and I was like, oh my god, Amy Levy, and it was this spine, and I was like, wow, that's a really interesting spine of a book. Took it out. It was Reuben Sachs, which is still one of my favourite books of all time. You should read Reuben Sachs. It's a Victorian fiction novel about really the plight of women, but it's an incredible romance as well. But anyway, I picked it up and I was like, oh my god, what are these books? And I noticed they had a few more in the shop. And then I discovered all about the fact that they're an independent publisher who mainly publish women's literature. Went to their like incredible shop in London, and I've just been kind of obsessed ever since. But anyway, back to this one. So it's called Maman, What Are We Called Now? By Jacqueline. Oh, here's another butchering of a title in my Wolverhampton accent. Jacqueline Mesnil-Amar. And actually, like Amy Levy, this is a Jewish writer. It's non-fiction, I believe. Yeah, it's a diary that she wrote in occupied Paris during the Second World War, so from 1944 to 1946. I've just read the blurb. And her husband has gone missing, I think. Yes, husband has disappeared. In the last frenzied weeks of the German occupation of Paris, husband Andre has disappeared. And of course I mentioned she's Jewish. So I'm really looking forward to reading this account. I actually, during lockdown, reread Anne Frank's diary. So I hadn't read that since I was a kid and thought I really wanted to. So yeah, oh, there's pictures in here as well. I hadn't realised. Oh yeah, this is gonna be, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to read this in like stages and put it down. I couldn't read Anne Frank's all in one go because, yeah, I just couldn't. I had to kind of walk away and go and watch something uplifting. I just couldn't do it, so I probably will have to do that with this. But yeah, she said it was somebody in a review had said it's very poignant, incredibly beautiful, it'll stay with you for years and you should read it. So looking forward to that. She also got me these, I love, like I mentioned, I love the grey Persephones, but I also think these, so those are the originals, these are called the classics. I think there's 10 or 12 classics. And I have a few, and I just saw these and was like, oh my god, Mom, please, do you want to know what else to get me? And then just did these, so I'll just quickly go through them. This cover is absolutely divine, this beautiful 1930s cover. Mariana, by Monica Dickens. I just read the synopsis of this and was like, yep, done. It's a young girl's growth towards maturity in the 1930s. First of all, tick, set during the 30s. It's kind of a woman, well, a teenager kind of coming of age, love it. And then it mentions Like I Captured the Castle and The Pursuit of Love. Sold. Once it mentions those two books, I'm completely sold. Really looking forward to reading this. This is, I just realised I've been going through, I haven't been reading the names of the authors. I feel like other booktube, well, I'm not going to consider myself in their category, I've not done many videos, but I feel like other booktubers generally do that, and I haven't, but I'm not going back now. So this is Mollie Panter-Donnes, and I read the other Persephone of hers, which is, so it's a collection of, she mainly wrote for the New Yorker, if I remember that correctly, yes. And the book I read first of hers by Persephone is her, the articles, I think it's a selection of the articles that she wrote that were set post-war, well, basically just set not during the war. And this is the wartime stories. Good evening, Mrs. Craven, the wartime stories. And I really liked her other book that I read. I think it was really, yeah, post-Second World War, looking at that kind of end of an era. I think it was mainly looking at middle-class families and about things were changing after the Second World War. There was a great story in that one though, and I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of the servant, but it's about a cook who obviously works in this big middle-class home, and she's told them when she gets to a certain age, I think it's 55, could be making that up, that she's going to leave. She's got her own plan, her own place sorted, and they're all like shocked, like, oh my goodness, how could you ever want to leave us? How could you ever not want to serve us and be our beck and call and cooking our meals all the time? And they talk about how incredible cook she is and how she'll miss cooking for them. And you just get, and then you find out at the end they go and visit her and she's really enjoying her plays. I feel like I might have added this detail, but I think in the book she's got like a record player, and she's just loving having her own time in her own space, and she isn't missing being with them. She likes being able to do what she wants when she wants, and I really like that story. So I'm looking forward to reading these 21 stories set during the Second World War. I think it is, yeah, basically a correspondent kind of what was going on in England for American readers. So yeah, once again a beautiful cover. And the last one I asked my mum to get me, this one is set during the 1920s. I love the premise for this book, and being a kind of a strong feminist. It just sounds really fun. So it's called The Homemaker, and it's by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. And yeah, written in 1924. It is apparently about, so you've got a family, kind of mom, dad and kids, and so Eva is the mother, and when her husband is in an accident that leaves him with a disability, the dynamics in the family change. So he stays at home to look after the kids, she goes to work in a department store, and they actually realise that everybody blossoms, it's much better off. And it's that idea of gender dynamics, and not always well, back then what was considered acceptable or the usual thing was actually making everyone miserable, and that yeah, that they found this really worked for them. So that sounds really funny as well, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And this, I've kept this book till last, the one I want to talk about, which is a vintage early edition book, because I feel like it's going to make me cry, and so I'm going to have to stop filming. So this is the last book I got for my birthday, was given to me by a woman that I've never met, I've never even spoken to, and I think her kindness and generosity and her wanting me to have this, I take as a, I knew I was going to do this. I take it as a really great honour. I really hope nothing's gone wrong when I watch this back, because I don't want to film this again, because I just don't want to keep crying. It's so beautiful. Just the kindness and the thoughtfulness is just overwhelming. And so I should explain, one of my mum's friends, Shelley, she's Canadian. My mother met her online, because I've mentioned my dad's health issues, and she's been going through something similar, and she's been so lovely and kind, and really kind of talking to my mum about, because she's slightly further ahead in her recovery, and just been talking to my mum about, you know, this is what's happening, this is what's kind of worked for me, this is what I've been going through. Anyway, my mum's found her like a real support and help, and she'd watched one of my, I think, well, one or a few of my earlier videos about my collection of Ethelina White books that I love, and she said she wanted me to have this book. So yeah, let me show it to you. So this is Rebecca by Daphne Du Maurier, a book I first read when I was about 14 or 15 and fell in love with it. Daphne Du Maurier is, I don't need to really explain it, she's an incredible writer. And so Shelley gave me this. I'm going to take off, so this is a modern facsimile cover that my mum got me to just protect it and to cover the book. It's actually the American cover, because the English one was just really simple and plain and really boring, whereas this one was lovely. But this is the book. So this is Rebecca, and it's in it's such a beautiful condition, and you can see it's just been so well loved and looked after. And I think I do believe in it. I do believe that you do leave a trace of you, and you own something and love it and touch it and cherish it. I think that's why, like, when I went to the Bronte parsonage, I really wanted to I really wanted to reach out and touch their writing table, and I kind of want to do that when I go places. I want to touch something, or touch somewhere where somebody that I'm really inspired by, or somewhere I really admire has been. So anyway, so yeah, so this was so I should explain, this was Shelley's grandmother's copy of Rebecca, and she sent me this really, really beautiful note in the book, which I've read quite a few times, and her grandmother's name was Eva Friedman, born Eva Roth, and it was really kind of interesting as well, is that, so when I was a teenager and I got really like into vintage fashion, I was thinking of like, you come up with like a vintage name, and I came up with Eva Lily Harlow. So the fact it's Eva as well. She was born in Russia in 1910, moved to Canada in 1920, and then married Shelley's grandfather. This is it. And what's so beautiful as well is inside the book, she gave me a copy of, this is a photograph of her grandmother Eva when Eva was in her 30s in the 1940s, and with her husband Dave. And this is Shelley's mother's parents. But just how beautiful is she? It's Eva. She's just so elegant, so pretty. I love her hair. She looks really quite confident in this photograph, and her husband next to her, he's smiling, he looks so happy, and they both just look so beautiful. I love all the people in the background as well. But to be kind of interested with Shelley's grandmother's book, to kind of look after it, which I will do forever, to be given this. So this is an English print, an English copy that was printed in 1938 when the novel came out, to be given this, to look after and to cherish, from somebody that, like I said, I need to speak to her. I need to say the biggest thank you in the world to her for this. It's just really just like so kind, like too kind. And it's also, on top of that, it's a favourite novel of mine. It's my favourite Daphne Du Maurier. It was one of the first times I read a book where I was so sure of what I felt about a character. And, you know, because you're looking at the set, you are very much, Mrs. De Winter is, you know, her viewpoint, and you very much like what you think about Rebecca at the beginning. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it, but Rebecca was Maxim's first wife, and you very much are like have a certain point of view about her, and then to the way as a writer she kind of manipulates, seems to have like a negative term, but I don't mean that. I just mean she kind of, well, yeah, but I mean manipulate in a good way, your emotions, and you actually start to understand Rebecca, and you start to well, I found very sympathetic, really agree with her. And anyway, it's just an incredible book about human psychology, about what it means to be a woman, what it means to when you transgress the rigid structures of society and what a woman was meant to be, and how when you transgress those lines it can be the punishment that women would receive would be far worse than men, sometimes, yeah, often, but it's such a beautiful book. And to have this, which I'm going to keep with it always, to just know a bit more about Eva, and there's also, yeah, I'll just read a little bit more. I'll read just a little bit from the letter. She talks about being very close to her grandmother as well, which to me, it's, yeah, just the human kindness to want me to have this is amazing. She was a petite woman with a gorgeous figure and loved clothes, which I love clothes. I'm not petite, but I love that. Her father was a jeweller. Lots of pieces of hers, which is fabulous. She was 87 and died 1997. It's just such a beautiful note as well, and what she's written to me. Yeah, which I won't. I'll keep for me. But yeah, it's just amazing. I will share that picture again of Shelley's grandmother, Eva. And I think it makes a book for me even more poignant and more beautiful. It's a lovely book anyway, but to know that it was Eva's, and yeah, I just want her to know that yeah, I'm gonna take really good care of it. You sound like a really cool, amazing woman, who I would, if I could have lived to have met, but I can, yeah, but I feel like I know her slightly, you know, to love and care for this book says to me something about who she was. And yeah, so this really touched me as a birthday present. All of the books are lovely and a lovely surprise, but this book, sorry, I'm just rambling on, this book touched me, and the note and the photograph touched me like deeply, to my very core, and I'm, yeah, very humbled by it. So yeah, that was my birthday book haul for my 30th birthday, a birthday that I will never forget, and I'm so looking forward to going and reading all these books, and I'm very blessed to have the friends and family that I do. So yes, so thank you for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to my parents, my friends, Shelley particularly. You got me these books. Not to my sister, because she'd never buy me a book because she already says I have too many and threatens to burn them when it gets cold. But yeah, no, thank you. Thank you to everybody who sent me a card or a message, present, anybody that reached out for my birthday. I really, really do appreciate it. Sometimes I don't. Yeah, it's so uplifting for people to share people share their care. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I hope you're all doing okay and staying safe, and found your new normal, whatever that is for you at this time. And yeah, take care everyone. I really wanted to do a video for Pride Month, which is obviously, today's June the 29th and it ends tomorrow, and I've been reading lots of LGBTQ books this month, and I just I do want to do it. It's just I keep putting it off because I'm like, there's so many books and things I want to talk. I think I just blow it up in my mind to like it has to be perfect and I have to and so I kind of have put it off, but I will try and do that. It might end up being in July now, but I will. But yes, I hope you like this. Thank you for people that have stayed for the full 36 minutes to watch all of this. But yes, take care. I'll speak to you soon. Bye guys. Bye from me in my tent.